The most expensive mistakes in human history. The wrong unit. Let me set the scene. NASA, 1999. The Mars Climate Orbiter, a spacecraft that took years to build, years to plan, and $327 million to produce, is on its way to Mars. Everything is going perfectly. The mission is on track. Scientists are excited, and then it disappears. The orbiter approached Mars at the wrong angle and either burned up in the atmosphere or bounced off into space. Gone. $327 million. Gone. Why? Because one engineering team at Lockheed Martin was sending thruster data to NASA in imperial units, pounds of force. And the NASA team receiving that data assumed it was in metric units, newtons. Nobody checked. Nobody caught it. A spacecraft traveling hundreds of millions of kilometers through space was destroyed because of a unit conversion error that a high school physics student would catch. The official investigation report is one of the most painful documents in aerospace history. It essentially says, we had a process for catching this. The process wasn't followed. And so a spacecraft that had been traveling through space for 9 months, that was 40 seconds away from entering Mars orbit successfully, entered at the wrong angle and never came back. All because someone didn't convert their units. I genuinely think about this one whenever I'm tempted to skip double-checking something. Selling Alaska for 2 cents an acre. Okay, this one isn't exactly a mistake, but it's close enough that it deserves a spot. In 1867, Russia sold Alaska to the United States for $7.2 million. That works out to roughly 2 cents per acre. At the time, Russia thought Alaska was a frozen, remote, economically useless piece of land that was costing more to maintain than it was worth. The American press agreed. They called it Seward's Folly, after William Seward, the Secretary of State who negotiated the purchase, and spent years mocking the decision to buy what they described as a giant icebox. Then, in 1896, they found gold, then oil, then natural gas. Alaska turned out to contain some of the most valuable natural resources on the continent. The oil alone that has been extracted from Alaska's North Slope since the 1970s has generated hundreds of billions of dollars in value. The entire state today has an estimated economic value in the trillions. Russia sold it for $7 million, 2 cents an acre, for a piece of land that turned out to be one of the most resource-rich territories on Earth. To be fair to Russia, they didn't know what was under the ground. Nobody did. But still, 2 cents an acre. Every time I think about that, I have to sit down for a minute. The destroyed hard drive. Most people have accidentally deleted something important. A document, a photo, maybe a text thread you really wish you still had. Painful. Recoverable, usually. This is not that. James Howells is a British IT worker who in 2013 accidentally threw away a hard drive. Not a hard drive with family photos on it. A hard drive containing the private keys to 7,500 Bitcoin. He had mined the Bitcoin in 2009 when it was essentially worthless and stored the keys on a hard drive that he then forgot about, split from the laptop it was in, and eventually, while cleaning out his office, mistakenly threw in the bin. The hard drive is buried somewhere in a landfill in Newport, Wales. He knows roughly which section. He has repeatedly asked the local council for permission to excavate it. The council has repeatedly said no, partly due to environmental regulations around the landfill, and partly, one assumes, because allowing someone to dig through a landfill for a hard drive is not a straightforward thing to approve. At Bitcoin's peak value, those 7,500 coins were worth around $500 million. At the time of making this video, they are worth somewhere in the range of $700 million to over $1 billion depending on the market. All of it is sitting in a landfill in Wales. He knows it's there. He cannot get to it. I'm not sure there is a more specific form of financial torture that exists on this planet. Blockbuster passing on Netflix. In the year 2000, Reed Hastings, the co-founder of a small DVD by mail company called Netflix, flew to Dallas to meet with Blockbuster. He offered to sell Netflix to Blockbuster for $50 million. He wanted a partnership. He thought Blockbuster's brand and store network combined with Netflix's technology could be genuinely powerful. Blockbuster said no. The executives in that meeting reportedly laughed. $50 million for a DVD mail company with no physical stores seemed absurd to them. They had 9,000 stores worldwide and 47 million customers. Netflix was a niche product for people who didn't want to leave the house. Netflix is currently worth around $280 billion. Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy in 2010. There is one Blockbuster store still open in the world, in Bend, Oregon. It has become a tourist attraction. And the $50 million that Blockbuster laughed at in 2000 would today be the single greatest investment in the history of entertainment. The meeting where that no happened is, at this point, the most expensive laugh in business history. And look, I'm not saying the Blockbuster executives were stupid. In 2000, streaming didn't exist in any meaningful way. The internet wasn't fast enough. Their logic made sense at the time. That's what makes this one so genuinely painful. They weren't wrong about the world as it existed. They were just completely wrong about the world that was coming, which is a mistake that is very easy to make and almost impossible to see in the moment. If this video made you want to immediately get everything you own appraised, give it a like and subscribe to Wait What, because we've got so much more coming every week. Check out the video on screen right now. And as always, wait, what?